This is your 3-3 notes. And a couple examples for this. So the first one, we're going to start off with a graph. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the slope. It says the graph shows the predicted life expectancy for men and women born in a given year. So A says find the rate of change for women from 2000 to 2025 and 2025 to 2050. So what I'm going to do, because there's not a whole lot of space here, is I'm going to just do this on a separate little paper over here. So we're going from 2000 to 2025. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table. I'm just going to make a little X, Y table. We're going from 2000 to 2025. Okay, so it wants us to find the slope. So first I need to know for the women what my age was. So here, okay, we're looking at the women that has the square. So for 2000, we're at 80. For 2025, we're at 84. So I'm looking at these two numbers right here, 80 and 84. So I'm going to write that down in my y values. So we have 80 and 84. Okay. So there are a couple ways we can do this. We can do our change in y over change in x. We can write this as two ordered pairs. This is the same thing as 2000, comma 80, and 2025, comma 84. Okay, so we can go ahead and we're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So remember, slope is equal to change in y over change in x. So that's your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. So we have y2, which is 84, minus y1, which is 80. x2 is 2025, minus x1, which is 2000. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and subtract the top. 84 minus 80 is just 4. And we're going to subtract the bottom. 2025 minus 2000, that's just 25 years. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our calculator. So I'm going to go back to my home screen. Okay, so we have 4 divided by 25. You can hit math enter to see if that reduces, and you'll notice that it does not. Sometimes they might ask for the decimal, so 4 divided by 25 gives us 0.16. So over here, I'm going to go ahead, oops, wrong one. I'm going to write over here equals 0.16. So either one of these, okay, would be acceptable, 4 over 25 or the 0.16. That's your rate of change. Now I'm going to show you how to check this in your calculator. So here, if you want to go ahead and write this down, I'm going to give you some calculator steps. All right, number one, and I'll walk you through this while we write this down. So number one, what you're going to want to go to, there we go, is you're going to hit this stat key right here. So let me go ahead and clear everything out. So there we go, that's all clear. Okay, so I'm going to hit stat, and then you want to hit enter to get edit. So stat edit is what this is called. So let me write that down. So number one is going to be stat, and then edit. Number two, you're going to fill in L1 and L2. So if you notice, okay, L1 and L2, all it is the same thing as your X and Y table. This would be X, this is going to be Y. Is the exact same thing. So for this problem, in your L1, we'll put 2000, we'll put 2025. And L2, we'll put 80 and 84. Okay, so we're going to go back to our calculator and we're going to type those numbers in. So we have 2000. And hit enter once you're done. 2025. Hit enter when you're done. And then you're going to use your arrows to go up and over to L2. Okay, so you can use the arrow over button or hit up and over. In L2, we have 80, because that's what it was at 2000, and we have 84. All right, I'm going to write the next steps down, and then we'll do them. So number 3, oops, we'll do that. Let me go back to my, there we go. Number 3, you're going to go back to stat. You're going to go over to calc. And then you're going to hit the number 4. And I'll show you, then we'll write down. So we're going to go to stat right here. You're going to hit your arrow over to go to calc. And we're going to hit number 4. So here's number 4. It says LINREGAX plus B in parentheses. So we're going to write that down if I can remember. All right, LINREG in parentheses AX plus B. When you do that, so once you hit 4, so I'm going to go over here, hit my number 4, okay, you're going to hit enter through all this stuff. Enter, 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 enter to make sure it says calculate. So hit enter. I'm just going to put a lot because you hit enter, let's see, all the way to calculate. And the last thing that you're going to notice is that it will say on here, okay, it says y equals ax plus b, gives you a equals and b equals. So y equals ax plus b. It tells you a equals some number and b equals some number. What you need to know is that's the same thing as y equals mx plus b. Okay, so m is your slope and b is the y-intercept. So I'm going to put over here a big equal sign between these two so that you know those two are equal. So whatever a is, that's your slope. Whatever b is, that's your y-intercept. So whenever we go back over here, okay, a is my slope. It says a is equal to 0.16. If you look at our work, we got our slope to be 0.16. So we know that this is correct. So I'm going to go back over here. It says find the rates of change. So for 2000 to 2025, my slope, which is my rate of change, was 0.16. Okay, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to go 2025 to 2050. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a new little sheet here. So now, make my XY table. We're going from 2025 to, let me see, what was it, 2050. Okay, so I need my y values for that. So we're looking at 2025. So again, we're looking at 84. And at 2050, it's 87. Remember, we're looking at the top because that's the data for the women. So I have 84 and 87. So 84, 87. Instead of doing all of it by hand right now, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put this into L1. And we're going to put this into L2. We're just going to use calculator skills for right now. So go ahead and we're going to go back to our set edit. Before you do that, the best way to do this is do your second plus 712. That's going to go ahead and clean everything out so that when you go back to stat edit, it will, there should be nothing there. So stat edit. Okay, so L1 was 2025 and 2050. Hit your arrow over. In L2, we have 84 and 87. So we're going to go stat, calc, 4, hit enter through all of this. And my rate of change, that's my slope, which is the letter A, is 0.12. So what I'm going to do is right over here, M is equal to 0.12. Now let's say they want you to put it into a fraction. All you have to do is go back over here, type in your 0.12, hit math, enter, enter, and that's 3 over 25. So 3 over 25. Okay. So back over here, I'm going to put M is equal to 0.12. So notice our slope is different from this point, which is the blue, to this point, which is the red. So we do not have a constant rate of change because my slope is not constant for the whole piece. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're doing it for the min. So we're going from 2000 to 2025, so I'm going to use the number 74 and 78. So I'll just go back over here to this paper. And like I said, if you want to write this somewhere on here, that's completely fine. I just don't have enough space to make it nice and neat. So this is for the min. Going from 2025. And my numbers again were 74 and 78. So 74, 78. So here's L1, here's L2. So let's just do it all in the calculator and find out what our slope's going to be. So in my calculator, I'm going to hit second plus 712. Second plus 712. Okay, clear that out. So you go stat, edit. L1 was 2000 and 2025. And my L2s, so those are my Y values, we have 74 and 78. So 74 and 78. So then I'm going to hit stat, over to calc, hit the number 4, hit your enter through all this stuff. And whatever A is, that's my slope. So my slope is 0.16. And you'll notice that's the same slope that we had for the women during this time period. So I'm going to write down over here, M is equal to 0.16. Okay, and if you remember, our fraction for that was 4 over 25. All right, and the last little bit that we have to do. Okay, let me go back. Oh, sorry, I need to write that down first. So for the min, for the first one, we had M equals 0.16. Now we're going to do from 2025 to 2050. So now we're still going to use the 78, but this time we're also going to use 81. So let's go ahead and make that table. So we'll do it over here. Okay, X and Y. So now we're going from 2025 to 2050. We're using 78, and I already forgot. 81? Yep, 81. And 81. Okay, so again, this is L1, this is L2. So I'm going to go ahead and put that data into my stat edit. So remember, it's always easier. Easy if you use second plus 712. Because here's the thing, you don't want to accidentally delete one of those columns. Because if you delete one of those columns, you can't use stat edit, and you'll end up having to do all this stuff by hand. So after you're done, hit second plus 712 every single time. Stat edit. Okay. L1 is 2025 and 2050. So 2025 and 2050. L2 was 78 and 81. Not 48, 78, 78 and 81. Okay, so once you have those in, you're going to hit Stat, go over to Calc, hit the number 4, hit your enter, 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 and my slope here again is 0.12. So A equals 0.12, that's your slope, that's your M. So M equals 0.12, which is the same as the women. And just right like we have up here, that's equal to, if it wants in a fraction form, 3 over 25. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. M equals 0.12. Okay, we got a couple questions we have to answer, and then we're done. It's explain the meaning of your results in exercises 1 and 2. So what we can say here is that both men and women increased their life expectancy at the same rates. Okay. Next one says, what pattern do you see in the increase with each 25-year period? So what we see, okay, so what they're talking about is from 20 to 25, okay, both in, from 2025 to 2050, they both increased, but that increase was not a constant rate of change. So our pattern is that even though it increases, it is not a constant rate. Not a constant rate. Okay, if it was a constant rate, both men and women would increase by 0.16 the entire time. Okay, make a prediction for the life expectancy for 2050 to 2075 and explain how you write out your prediction. So I'm going to show you more in writing with numbers. Okay, so from 20,000 to 2025, okay, that life expectancy was 0.16. Okay, from 2025 to 2050, okay, we have 0.12. And that, okay, and then from 2050 to 2075, we're not sure, but we can pattern, okay, between this. So from here to here, 0.16 to 0.12, okay, you're subtracting 0.04. So if we think that this trend continues, okay, our rate of change would go down 0.04. So 0.12 minus 0.04 would give us 0.08. So that's what our rate of change would be between the years 2050 and 2075. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and go down to these bottom ones. Okay, for these first three, we're going to do these just with the calculator because we've already practiced putting into the formula. And for the last three, we're going to have to use the formula. So for these first ones, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make my table. So here's X and here's Y. Here's my L1 and L2. So my X and Y, I'm just going to put my points in. I have 4, 9, and we have 1, 6. Okay, so M is equal to, well, like I said, we're going to use stat edit on these. So stat edit on these first three. So to do that, in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and hit second plus 712. Okay, clear that out. I'm going to go stat edit. So L1 is 4, 1. L2 is 9 and 6. So 4, 1, and L2 was 9 and 6. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit stat, go over to, stat edit, don't go over to calc yet, stat edit. I already did that. So I'm going to go back to stat, over to calc, hit number 4, hit enter, 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 enter. And it tells me right here, my slope, which is my A, is equal to 1. So I'm going to write down over here, M is equal to 1. Alright, number 2. So I'm going to do the kind of same thing. Make my little table. XY table. L1, L2. So I have -4, -1. I have -2, -5. So I'm going to put M equals. Okay, so again, since we practiced the formula for the first part of this, when you're foldable, we're just going to do calculator skills right now. So we're going to go back to our calculator. We're going to clear this out. So I'm going to hit second plus 712. Okay, clear that out. I'm going to go back to stat edit. So L1 is -4, -2. So -4, -2. And in my L2, that's going to be -1, -5. So -1, -5. Okay, so stat, calc, 4, enter, 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 enter. And my slope is my A part, so M is equal to -2. So I'm going to write down over here, M is equal to -2. Okay, last one, and then we'll do these last three. So again, I'm going to make my XY table. X's are always your L1, Y is always your L2. So you have -4, -1, -4, -5. Okay, we can go ahead and put that into our calculator. So -4, -4, -1, -5. So I'm going to second plus 712. Okay, there we go. Clear that out. Stat edit. So L1 was -4, -4. And L2, what was it? -1, -5? Yep, -1, -5. -1, -5. Okay, so then I'm going to go stat. I'm going to go over to calc. I'm going to hit number 4. Hit enter all the way through your calculate. And if you notice, we're going to get this error message, okay? And so here's why we're going to get the error message. It says domain. That means it has to do with their x values. So let's go back over here and look. Okay, so let's say that we want to go ahead and we're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so remember our slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to plug in what I know. So m is equal to y2 is negative 5 minus y1, which is a negative 1. So negative 5 minus that negative 1 divided by x2 and x1, they both are negative 4. So minus a negative 4. When you have a minus and a negative, it becomes a positive. So plus and plus. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is a 0. And here's why you're getting the error. Because if you were to type this into your calculator, and we can do that right now, negative 4 divided by 0, negative 4, nope, I gotta hit quit first. There we go. Negative 4 divided by 0. When I hit enter, we get the same error, and it's because you can't divide by 0. So for both of these, okay, when you get error like that, when you can't divide by 0, your slope, so my m, is going to equal undefined. All right. Okay, last three, and then we are done. I'm going to zoom in on these so we have space. Okay, it says find the value of r, so the line that passes through each pair of points has the given slope. Okay, so we have to use our formula on this. You cannot put this into stat edit because you can't put a variable into your L1 and L2. So we're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, and my slope is already labeled. Your formula, m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're going to plug in what we know. So I know m, I know my slope is 1. y2, I know y2 is a negative 2, minus y1, my y1 is an 8. x2 is r, minus x1 is a 6. I can simplify that. So 1 is equal to negative 2 minus 8, that gives me negative 10, over r minus 6. Now, when you get to this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put this whole number over 1, and then you're going to want to cross multiply. So you want to cross multiply these, and you want to cross multiply those. So kind of like your little butterfly that y'all had to do in middle school. So you have 1 times that r minus 6 is equal to 1 times the negative 10. Okay, distribute your 1 to everything inside. So you have 1r, so r, 1 times 6 is just 6, is equal to negative 10. Get r by itself, so add 6 to both sides. So that crosses off. That's a 0 pair, so r is equal to negative 4. Now, can you check your answer though? Yes, you can. And how you can check it, so I'm going to write it over here, because you should not be able to get any of these wrong on your test. The way you can check it is you can still do your stat edit with your L1 and L2. Okay, so 1 point is 6, 8. This second point, instead of r, we figured out that r is negative 4. And then negative 2. Okay, because we're saying that r is negative 4. So let's go ahead and check this real quick in our stat edit. If we are correct, then our slope, the a, should come out to 1. So let's check it real quick. So I don't know if I cleared this out or not. I'm going to do it again. Second plus 712. Okay, so I'm going to go to my stat edit. I'm going to put in what I just have. So 6, negative 4. 6, negative 4. And in L2, I have 8 and negative 2. So 8 and negative 2. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to check that by going stat, calc, 4, enter, 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 enter. And my slope here says 1. Remember, a is the same thing as your m. So m is equal to 1. That's what we have up here. So I know my answer is correct. Okay, so stat edit is a great way to check your work. All right, number 5. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. You know my formula. You're going to write it down every single time. That way you don't forget it. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, let's fill in what we know. My slope, my m, is 3 over 4. y2, my y2 is r, minus my y1 is a negative 3. Remember, when you have a minus and a negative, it becomes a positive. x2 is 7, minus x1 is a negative 1. Again, you have a minus and a negative, it becomes a positive. Now, unlike this number 4 that we just did, we don't have to put this over 1 because you already have a fraction and we can easily cross multiply all of this. But before I do that, I forgot one thing. I'm going to rewrite this. 3 over 4 is equal to r plus 3. I need to simplify that. 7 plus 1 is 8. Okay, now we can go ahead and cross multiply both sides. So whenever we cross multiply, we have 4 times. When you have more than one thing up here, make sure you put it in parentheses. Okay, so you want this little r plus 3 to be in parentheses. Is equal to 3 times 8. Distribute your 4 to everything inside. And if you need to draw your line, if that helps you draw your line. So you have 4 times r plus 4 times 3 is 12 is equal to 3 times 8 is 24. We're solving for r, so subtract 12 from both sides. Okay, those cross off. You have 4r left over is equal to 24 minus 12 is just 12. To get r by itself, divide both sides by 4. So you'll end up getting r is equal to 3. There we go. R is equal to 3. Okay, we're going to check, and you should check every single one of these. So to check, we're going to put it in stat edit, so L1 and L2. I already have 1 point right here, negative 1, negative 3. My second point is 7 comma r. Well, I know r. My guess is that r is going to be 3. So we're going to go ahead and put that in stat edit and see if our slope comes out to 3/4. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. 2nd plus 712. There we go. Clear that out. Stat edit. So you have negative 1, 7. Negative 1, 7. And what was it? 3, negative 3, 3. So negative 3, positive 3. Let me go over here. Negative 3, positive 3. Okay. So stat, over to calc, number 4. Enter, 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 enter. And my slope is 0.75. So I'm going to write that down. M equals 0.75. And you can check that, okay, because we want it in fraction form. So if you just type that in over here, 0.75, and hit math, enter, enter, it'll show you right here that the fraction is 3/4. So that does equal 3/4. So that slope is the same as my slope up here. So I know my answer, r equals 3, is correct. Okay, last one. And if any of this goes too fast, great thing about this being a video is that you can pause it, you can go back, you can fast forward, you can watch this 15 billion times if you need to. Alright, so last little one that we'll do, and then you can get started on your homework. And we're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, we know that m is equal to, we have your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug this in. I know my slope is 3/4. y2 is 1, minus y1 is 4. x2 is 7, minus x1, which is r. Okay, I'm going to simplify. So I have 3 over 4 is equal to 1 minus 4 is a negative 3 over 7 minus r. Okay, so again, I don't have to put this over 1 because we can go ahead and cross multiply, do your little butterfly method. I gotta find my color again, so somewhere over here in the purple. Okay, so when I do this, I have to cross multiply, so I have 3 times 7 minus r is equal to 4 times negative 3. And again, if you need to draw your line, you can. Distribute your 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times negative r is just a negative 3r. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 21 from both sides. So I have negative 3r is equal to, that's my 0 pair. We have 12 that's a negative 12. 4 times negative 3 is a negative 12. So I have negative 12 minus 21. That will give me negative 33. Divide both sides by negative 3. So divide this by negative 3. And hopefully I can get that to go away. There we go. R will equal to 11. Okay, so we can check, make sure we did everything right, did all of our math right. So here's our check. Okay, so I have L1, L2. Okay, so L1, my first point, I have R, so that's 11. So my first point is going to be 11, 4. Second point is going to be 7, 1. And we're hoping that the slope, again, comes out to being 3/4. So it's the last one we have to check. So calculator, second plus 7, 1, 2. Clear that off. So I have stat, edit. In my L1, I have 11 and 7. Oops. 11 and 7. And in my L2, I have 4 and 1. So 4 and 1. So we're going to go stat, calc, 4, enter, 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 enter. And it gives us 0.75. And again, if you're not sure what that is, a fraction, 0.75, math, enter, enter, will give you 3/4. So over here, my slope was 0.75. That's the same thing as 3/4. Okay, so those two slopes are the same, which tells you my answer here, R, is the same. All right, and that's it for your 3-3 notes, so y'all can get started on your homework.